where can I find this laser pointer?
Carsten, can you give some?
Like the bottom left, there's a tool set.
Yeah.
When you share the screen, I think. I cannot see it now.
Well, anyway, I'll try without. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for having me at this wonderful colloquium, and also thank you very much for the all the people who presented before me. Why is it not changed?
No,
oh, yeah.
it's working.
Yeah, so I will talk a little bit about how to link the user interface, as in the toilet, with the back-end valorization facility. Finizio is a circular startup, a circular economy startup, which we founded in 2019 in Eberswalde. We are, especially since last year, we've been growing quite quickly because our main business is in the field of festivals. And after having quite some difficult years in 2020 and 21, we are really back in the game since last year, which is quite nice. And here you see currently our major toilet systems that we run. Our biggest financial as well as material turnover, where we collect most toilet material, is on festivals. I will get into each of these systems separately, but just an overview of what we do is mainly festivals. Then another growing area of business that we are in is public toilets for city parks or rural touristic destinations. And we are already selling dry toilet systems for public households. And I will also later show you a future product that we are currently working on. And unfortunately, we don't have so much time, and I really want to focus this talk on the logistics behind our toilets. And just to wrap it up, what we do in pretty much all our toilet systems, separation of liquid and solid is very important to us. Our valorization process always goes into two different systems, where we first of all treat the solid material part with high temperatures to get rid of pathogens. And what we're mostly working on in the framework of zirkulierBAR is also a urine treatment system, where we treat the urine with, for example, active coal filtration, working together with Vuna on these valorization systems. And our goal is always to to produce as much humus fertilizer in the end, because that's what we feel is in our vision is the most valuable form of fertilizing land. This is what our valorization plant looks like. It's located in Eberswalde, northeast of Berlin. And like I said, I will just really roughly get into this backend facility. It's basically split up into two different areas. We have the first area where all the toilet material is collected and sanitized in a container. I will get to this later on. And then the second part is the actual humidification, where we then turn the pre-sanitized material into a stable humus compounds. Unfortunately, this is something that I will not really get into during this presentation, but on our website you can find some videos and more photos of how we do that. So let's get into logistics. And the most challenging logistics that we have at the moment are festivals, where we deal with vast amounts of people. This was one of our biggest contracts in 2022. It was a concert of quite famous rock bands in Germany, where we delivered 150 toilets for around 60 to 70,000 visitors. And here we really deal with a high user frequency and also high material flow rates. So 70,000 people, you can imagine, we actually had up to 2,500 liters of urine per hour that our pumps were processing. And that's really where all kinds of logistics come into play, which are really tough to handle. So on the one hand, we have the front end logistics, the question of how to get the actual user interface, the toilet, to the festival in such large numbers. With our festival toilet, a product called Humusphäre, we came up with a stacking system where we can fold and stack the toilet cabins into these stacks, where we can transport up to 200 of these cabins in one lorry. Here you see them being unloaded. And then they're basically, by manual labor, they are then set up, unfolded and set up on the festival site, where they're then to be used by the visitors. And what Carsten already showed you, we're using a system where we actually separate the solid and liquid, not in the top compartment of the toilet seat, but actually like in the bottom of the container. This is what Carsten referred to as perkurine, so like urine that has percolated, I don't know if you can actually say that in English, through the solid container, and is then pumped out of the solid container with the suction pump that continuously keeps the urine level of these containers as low as possible. And this has the huge advantage that it's just super idiot proof. There's like no urine funnel, or also like a urine trap or a pee pod, however you call it, that can get clogged or can get missed by people peeing standing or sitting. It's really, like I said, idiot proof, and which is very important for these large events. And then once the event is finished, you basically end up with two different fractions. You have the solid containers, which need to go to our valorization facility in Eberswalde. It's also quite a big challenge, because in Germany at the moment, it's really the only site in the whole country where dry toilet material can get valorized legally. That means wherever we are in the country, North Germany, South Germany, these toilet solids always have to make their way to Eberswalde, which is quite a pity, because Eberswalde is located in Germany, in a place where it's pretty much far away from everywhere, close to the Polish border. And so there we also had to come up with different logistic systems. What we've been doing last year a lot is working with logistical companies that have their basically like routes that they're running empty anyway, where we can get quite cost-effective lifts for these solid containers. We're also working currently on a system where we can have 2 stories in these trucks. So you have, at the moment, one truck can carry around, I think it's 70 of these containers. And the problem is that the surface area of the truck is then completely consumed, but we would still have quite a lot of transport load capacity, and that's something that we would like to improve by working with truck systems where you have 2 stories, so you can actually make more use of the load capacity of these trucks. So these containers then get transported to our valorization plant in Eberswalde, And like I said, the first step that's happening is that these solids are then emptied in our sanitation container. It's a container where which is completely made out of stainless steel on the inside, so it's corrosion free. And the bottom of these containers have ventilation pipes where the bio material or the organic material that gets emptied into these containers are supplied with oxygen, and hence a biological decomposition of the material starts. And we have these temperature curves that develop in these containers that go around 75 degrees. We actually reach temperatures near 80 degrees in these containers. Like I said, unfortunately, I won't be speaking much about the further valorization of these organic materials, which we then, like once this sanitation container is full, we empty it with another truck and it gets piled up to these compost windrows, where we then turn it into a high quality humus fertilizer within 6 to 8 weeks. But we get back to logistics. So like I said, the solid part gets transported to Eberswalde mostly by these big trucks if the efficiency or if the scale of the event allows for such transport. For smaller events, of course, we use smaller trucks, like like you can imagine. And then you also have the liquid part. I mean, most of you know that the urine that humans excrete makes up much more volume than the solids, and that bears even more logistical challenges. And the reason, the result out of this is actually that in about 99% of the cases, the urine that we collect on festivals is disposed in the nearest wastewater treatment plant, which is always quite a big pity for us. But the fact is that last year, for example, we collected around 500 to 800,000 liters of urine, and there's just no way of, first of all, shipping that around Germany for such long distances, and also our valorization facility in Eberswalde just doesn't have the capacity to treat these amounts of urine at the moment. Also, I mean, this is something that we're working on in the zirkulierBAR research project. We did collect, there was one festival in Berlin where I also showed you these pictures in the beginning, which was fairly close to Eberswalde, and that was the first time that we actually brought around 30,000 liters of urine from Berlin up to Eberswalde. And these 30,000 liters of urine, they're currently waiting for our for the Vuna Nexus treatment facility to be fed into the Vuna Nexus facility. Yeah. Getting back to the container systems that we use. So on the festival side, we work with the container that you see here in the right. Basically it's a 240 liter house bin that you probably know from your front doorstep, which we equip with this drainage system that I showed you in these pictures. Then we also have these closed systems, which have a airtight sealable lid, and this is also available in 120 liters. The reason why we really like these container systems is that they are standardized. You have emptying systems for these containers, which are pretty much standardized all over the world, where you have machines that grab these containers and, for example, empty them into the sanitation container. A lot of people ask us why we don't work with garbage trucks. A lot of people think, okay, we work with these normal garbage containers. Why don't you work with garbage trucks? We had some I would say, crazy experiences with garbage trucks in the year 2018, where we actually tried renting garbage trucks for festivals, where a garbage truck would come to a festival and empty our solid containers there, but it's really a big mess. These garbage trucks, they get quite smelly, and so there we really decided that that's not a scalable option. And especially if you think the system in an urban environment, it's not. It really doesn't make sense to empty these containers in the city with a garbage truck. You need to take the full container out of the city, and basically you replace a fresh empty container with the full container that you take with you to the treatment facility. And then the only container that we work with that does not have this emptying system is a 30-liter container, and we chose such a small container because that's kind of the limit where work safety stops. A lot of companies, they work with these 60-liter containers, and they're just super heavy to empty manually. So we said, if we work with a container that gets emptied manually, we don't go beyond 30 liters. And this is also an advantage, having such a low container, is that we use it in our public toilets, where barrierefreiheit, like where everything has to be almost ground level, so that it becomes wheelchair accessible. That's the word. And so here we work with quite a different system. It's completely different toilet system from our festivals, where these, so here in the inside you see this 30-liter bin to have the transition here. And what's special about these toilet seats is very similar to the urine trap toilet. We have also a urine diversion system which works with the teapot effect. That's why we call this toilet seat the peapot, actually, where we have a diversion of urine in the front part of the toilet, and solids fall into this 30-liter bucket, and we have a litter flush dispenser, or a litter dispenser, which then covers the solid material with straw dust, for example. And the emptying of these toilets is super simple. It's really just a lid on the back of the toilet, where you pull out this 30-liter bucket and replace it with a fresh and empty new one. This is also really important because we often work with subcontractors for cleaning these toilets, and there's also a big advantage of having these 30-liter buckets, because that's really what makes it feasible for them to actually put the cleaning of such a toilet on their route, because a 30-liter bucket you can basically put in any small vehicle, where you can you don't need any loading ramp or anything to lift a heavy container. This is a newer model of these public toilets. The tank, the floor of this toilet cabin actually consists of a 650-liter urine tank. So while the solids are collected just below the toilet seat, the peapot diverts the urine into the floor, into the tank. Here we also have a unisex urinal, which of course also collects pure and undiluted urine. And here you have these two openings where with a small little suction pump you can suck out these 650 liters of urine into a. This is then the only time where we need to come with a special vehicle that is able of sucking the urine out. But this only has to happen depending on the location of this toilet, this happens only like once every 1 to 3 months. Yeah. So if we look at the outlook of where our vision goes, it's actually to collect resources, especially from places where many people live, and hence that brings us to cities, because that's where more and more people will live in the future. So we actually also thought about how can we come up with toilet systems and with logistic systems that enable us to harness these resources that are excreted every day in these mega cities that are growing and growing. So what we're currently working on is a dry toilet system that we call Rohrposttoilette in German, which would translate to letter chute toilet in English. It's quite a new concept that we are just about to, we're kind of slowly coming out with this product. And the concept of this is that you have, like in a letter chute system, you have in kind of an envelope, a paper bag that you put in the rear funnel of your toilet. Here we are back to a funnel diversion system, not a teapot diversion system, because it makes it a lot easier in the product design. And in the back funnel, you put this very thin paper bag, which in the future will be available in every bathroom, in like I don't know, hundreds of these very thin bags piled up. And so you can make your number 2 into this paper bag. And once you're done, you press a button on the wall, and there's a little, how would you call it, a little lid or a door that opens, and this paper bag vanishes or slides into the pipe in the wall, and the toilet, which is made out of ceramic, just stays completely clean. And the actual advantage of this is that you can connect as many stories of a building as desired with only one pipe. So where before it was necessary to connect one toilet with each with one single pipe, it's now actually possible to go from story to story and always have this 45-degree connection angle, where you then can add another toilet in another story. And another advantage is that this system will work with 110 millimeter standard sewage pipes, which also increases the possibilities of integrating it in architectural designs. And this is a system that we're currently working on, where, similar to all the systems that you've seen before, you have basically 3 different lines or pipes, one for urine, one for the bags of solids, and then also gray water lines. And there are different ideas of how this can then get collected. The most simple idea would be to have a container in the cellar where all these bags get collected and then get picked up by staff. Also, urine can get stored in these tanks in the cellar. Other ideas would be to have these pipes go into into eccentric rod pumps, where actually these kind of the solids can get then pumped from a main building to a central place in a district, where all the solids get then collected in a bigger container, which then only needs to be picked up by a truck, for example. But this is all to be developed yet. So an outlook would be that at the moment we have only this one pilot valorization plant in Germany, which is located close to Berlin. But once we get this letter chute toilet installed in these cities that we're actually envisioning, many of these humus refinement plants around Berlin, where all these human resources get valorized into humus fertilizer. That's kind of the vision for the next 20-30 years, to say. And this is what our vision looks like on the technical side. Our vision is really to come up with scalable backend facilities.
Wir müssen ein bisschen mit der Zeit schauen, wenn wir noch fragen wollen.
Yeah, it's last slide. But yeah, I mean, as I said, we don't want to get too much into the valorization details, but just to sum it up, what we envision is a scalable treatment system that allows many user interfaces to be installed as easily as possible and have a thorough and a well-functioning back-end treatment system that can cope with really high volumes of these material flows. Thank you for your attention. And yeah, you find more information about how our valorization actually works on finizio.de, or also on social media and YouTube. You find some videos of what we do with human shit.